Hello, everybody. Welcome to Who the Hell Asks Game Awards Predictions for 2021. I'm
That's
your
right. The Game Awards is coming up. I'm your host, Slade, 'cause I stole it from Byron just now.
and co-host Slade. We were at this a little differently. We were gonna reveal our faces, but Slade has gotten destroyed by work.
Yeah, it's been a
Uh,
rough week.
yeah, but let's make his week unrougher. It's time to predict the Game Award winners. So first, we have an award that we missed out on last year. That we didn't cover in our special for last year. Ladies and gentlemen, there is going to be, once again, a player's choice category. It will launch in a few weeks, but who do you think, if you had to pick one game, Slate, who do you think walks away with this one?
This is actually tough because I feel like this year the list of games, like any game, could actually win Game of the Year. And a lot of the reason why Fire Emblem Three Houses won it last time was partially because it also wasn't getting any representation for like any of the awards. It wasn't nominated for anything, which a lot of people thought was bullshit. And that
Yeah.
definitely plays a factor into what people are conscious of and voting for. But I think this year it's going to be really hard to tell. I think personally maybe it would be Metroid Dread, but even then I don't say that with the utmost confidence that I would about any of the other awards. I don't know what you're thinking.
There's one game that I have seen, and we'll get into this more towards the end when we talk about Game of the Year. Uh, I think Returnal is going to get this because it's one of the two big games I've seen people talk about that have gotten, quote, snubbed from the Game of the Year award.
Yeah, you'd be correct. The Returnal honestly doesn't have a lot of representation or nominations for many of these awards, which is quite shocking to me, but
Yeah. But yeah, we'll get more into this award in the next couple of weeks when we actually have a more concrete idea of what games are being nominated. But I figured we have the chance to actually at least get this on this year's predictions show.
yeah, I think right now I'm going to stick with Metroid Dread as the Player's Choice Award. But
Yeah, I'm gonna go Returnal.
yeah, as I
That,
said, I am more than willing to be proven wrong on this one.
so Slade, what's the first like actual award with nominees that we have that we can cover?
So, okay, from the left side, we're kind of doing it in a bit of reverse order here compared to how, it would usually be done. We're saving the biggest award for last. So,
Yep.
we're going to start off by talking about next year. We're going to talk about the most anticipated game of 2022. Let me tell you, this is an early preview of what could be the game of the year next year. So, the five games for this category are Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Starfield. Let me tell you,
This
holy shit, that is a stacked list.
yeah, this is the toughest one of like games that I actually know to predict. Like, holy shit. Yeah, like Slade said, you basically have next year's game of the year right here, sans Starfield, because that's a December game. That's going to get the cutoff, possibly. But, like, what a fucking. This is tougher to predict than the actual big award.
Oh, yeah, because never mind the fact that two of these are sequel to previous games of the years and masterpieces in their own right. You also got Horizon Forbidden West, which would have won Game of the Year had Breath of the Wild not come out that year, in my opinion. And then you have Elden Ring, which is like the next game in the Soulsborne series that people have been begging for God knows how long. And it already appears to be like incredible. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
you just look at this list of games and it's absolutely crazy. I think the most anticipated game for next year is Elden Ring on this list. Simply because two of these are kind of just, or three of these are sequels to, critically acclaimed games, which, extremely hype and whatnot. Elden Ring's like a continuation of a series we haven't seen for a while. So
I gotta agree with you. Like any of these realistically could win and would be like rightfully deserved to win because all five of these are pretty hyped. But I think there's more fervor right now for Elden Ring. I gotta go with Elden Ring.
yeah, that's where my money's at right now.
Yeah. So our next category we have debut indie game for indie devs who this was their first game. We have The Artful Escape, The Forgotten City, Kena, Bridge of Spirits, Sable, and Valheim. I think this one's pretty slam dunk winner right here. I this is an easy win for Kena, Bridge of Spirits.
Kena Bridge of Spirits was the game I was going to pick, but I also know that a lot of people really liked The Artful Escape as well as Sable, and The Artful Escape's actually up for quite a few awards and whatnot.
It is.
So,
But so is Kena.
yeah, my money's going to Kena, but I would not be surprised to see The Artful Escape. Sable is another one that I thought was really good this year, but I think this is different compared to previous years where you had a slam dunk indie title that was just going to really just run away with it like we've had. You know, last year we had Hades, years prior we had like Celeste, Cuphead, etc.
Yeah.
Like, this year I feel like the indie sphere was pretty competitive for the most part. So
Okay, we're gonna quickly gloss over this next award. It's the content creator of the year. We have Dream. We have Fuzzly, a female Twitch streamer with over 1 million followers. Gauls, a Spanish Twitch streamer with over 3.1 million followers. Iba, a Spanish Twitch streamer with over 8.3 million followers. And Grefgy, a Fortnite YouTuber with over 17 million subscribers. There's an obvious winner, and it's not a real person on this entire fucking list.
you talk about Dream.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Dream's kind of gone through like the full roller coaster this year in terms of like he got caught cheating in the Minecraft speed run, and then like a bunch of other shit went down.
But like this is like the category out of all these we probably will give the least shit about. So
Yeah, I mean,
Dream,
yeah,
nothing
my
against
money's probably on
Dream.
Dream.
But yeah, Dream wins this one. So Slade, what's the next award?
All right, best multiplayer, and let me tell you, this one's pretty stacked as well. Yeah, Back for Blood, Knockout City, It Takes Two, Monster Hunter Rise, New World, and Valheim. So,
Yeah.
I
Ooh.
guess when you look at this award, it really just depends on what the journalists what they value. But I'll tell you what my personal best multiplayer was, and I'm sure Byron will agree here. It Takes Two was absolutely phenomenal. I think in terms of like couch co-op and even online co-op and whatnot, it is a fantastic game. And, I think that's my personal best one on the list. I don't know if Byron agrees or not.
Well, it's the only one I've played. It's not the one I think that wins, actually. Surprisingly enough. For some reason, my gut says New World wins this.
Interesting, especially considering that It Takes Two is also the only Game of the Year candidate on the list as well. I think it's a 3-horse race between It Takes Two, New World, and Back for Blood.
Well, I would say the 3-horse race, but replace Back for Blood with Monster Hunter, but...
I think Monster Hunter is like neat as Monster Hunter Rise is.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing people haven't really experienced before.
That's true. I do think It Takes Two wins a few different awards later on, but I think for multiplayer, I think it's going to be New World.
I'm going with It Takes Two, and that's one I'm also voting for as well. So,
but like play It Takes Two. If you haven't, play It Takes Two. The online was great. Couch co-op, I imagine, is probably great as well. Play that game, please. Please play that game.
all right. So next on the list, and possibly the most predictable award on here because it always is, the best sports/racing game. You have F1 2021, FIFA 22, Forza Horizon 5, Hot Wheels Unleashed, and Riders Republic.
Weird to see a Hot Wheels game on here, but apparently from what I've seen, it's good.
So we say this is the most predictable category because I don't think anybody is going to be surprised to know that Forza Horizon 5 is going to absolutely run away with this. It's not even close.
Like Forza wins this. I would be gobsmacked if anything else did. Like Forza's winning this, and spoilers, it's the other game that I've seen people say, oh, this one got snubbed out of Game of the Year.
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of really nice accessibility options added and whatnot.
Yeah, and apparently it's on Metacritic the highest rated new game of 2021.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why people are like in an uproar. We'll get into that a little more later. But yeah, that is next up. We got Sim and Strategy, one of the weirdest categories. We have Age of Empires 4, Evil Genius 2 World Domination, Humankind, Inscription, and Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I think won this category last year, and I don't know why it's here again.
Yeah, but say I didn't realize that, it could participate in the same category 2 years in a row after winning it last year. Yeah, that's really bizarre because, one, it's already bizarre that they, combined sim and strategy, but I guess I kind of get it. But having a game that was here last year is kind of a head scratcher.
And spoilers, I think that head scratcher's gonna win again.
Yeah, make it a two-peat because before I knew Microsoft Flight Simulator was going to be included this year, my guess is Age of Empires 4 was going to win it. But now with Microsoft Flight Simulator being part of the list, it's kind of muddied a bit. Yeah, I would say it probably wins 2 years in a row, but
it should never be nominated for anything again unless they release a new Microsoft Flight Sim.
And maybe that's what this game is. Maybe we're just uneducated and like Microsoft Flight Simulator released it as like a yearly title or something.
No, it's not. But speaking of yearly titles, it's time for Family Game of the Year. The nominees are It Takes Two, Mario Party Superstars, New Pokemon Snap, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and WarioWare Get It Together.
Yeah, so this is the Token Nintendo Award with the addition of It Takes Two, which is like, it's literally a family game. So I guess it makes perfect sense that it's here. So
it's literally a family game.
So honestly, pretty interesting list we got overall. I think the thing is Super Mario 3D World should have been disqualified because it's, a port with an add-on for the Switch. But ignoring that, it wasn't going to win anyway compared to Mario Party Superstars or New Pokemon Snap.
Or It Takes Two.
Yeah. So Byron and I believe we disagree on this category. I think It Takes Two also wins this award. Byron, what do you think?
I think Mario Party Superstars will take this one.
I think it's really close because you're talking about what's essentially the Smash Ultimate of the Mario Party series.
Kinda.
Versus the new darling, multiplayer, current gen game.
Yeah. But like, for some, I think maybe It Takes Two wins because it's literally a family game.
Right.
But my vote is for Mario Party Superstars. Mario Party is something. It's the only thing it's nominated for.
What to say? Mario Party Superstars is absolutely incredible, amazing.
Yeah.
But I do think It Takes Two definitely walks away with this one. But it could go either way. I don't think New Pokemon Snap gets it, unfortunately. Which New Pokemon Snap, it's great that we finally got a Pokemon Snap game after, these decades we haven't had one. But it's, as I said, it's just one of those years where it goes against the Smash Ultimate and the Mario Party series, and then It Takes Two also breaches the category as well. So
yeah. Next up, fighting game of the year. I'm actually shocked how many fighting games came out this year. So we have Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles, Guilty Gear Strive, Melty Blood Type Lumina, our favorite fighting game, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown.
Yeah, so I didn't even realize a new Virtual Fighter game came out this year. I was like, oh, really? So
I think everybody was like, wait, a new Virtua Fighter?
yeah, it just goes to show how much I've been following, the series lately.
So I think this is a two-horse race.
Yeah, I believe that this is the two-horse race between Guilty Gear Strive and Melty Blood, but
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think this is going to be pretty. So, because the thing is, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl had the initial hype cycle, which was crazy.
Yeah,
That
and then
everybody
it
got into
died.
it kind
Yeah,
of
and
died
then it
off a
died.
bit.
Yeah, it
I think Guilty Gear Strive is the best fighting game released this year. Was the beta was really, really hyped. The game was hyped when it came out. Yeah, Soul was broken and was picked character on release, whatever. But I think there's been like hella patches since then. Yeah, I definitely think for me, Guilty Gear Strive wins this award. But I don't know how in tune with the FGC that the Game Awards and the publishers are. So I guess we'll see. Byron, you said it was a two-horse race. Did you think Guilty Gear and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl?
No, Guilty Gear and Demon Slayer.
You think Demon Slayer?
I feel like it's coasting. Now I don't know. I've heard it's good, but like I feel like it might win on name brand alone. That's my gut feeling.
I'm just like it's like the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm like games in terms of like that. Which spoilers, it doesn't have any.
Yeah.
It just looks pretty, but I guess looking pretty is pretty important too.
Yeah, like that's my gut feeling. My meme pick is obviously Nick All-Star Brawl because we've covered it so much on the channel.
Yeah, and we got another platform fighter we're going to be talking about very soon.
Yes, yeah,
Spoilers.
but I would be happy to be wrong with Guilty Gear Strive, but my gut says Demon Slayer wins this.
As I said, I'm going with Guilty Gear Strive. I don't see them not picking what is arguably the best fighting game of this year for any other reason. So
yeah,
that's where my vote is.
RPG of the year, and I'm already having a laugh at the first one. I pulled it up. Okay, RPG of the year, Cyberpunk 2077, Monster Hunter Rise, Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Tales of Arise. Now, can we talk for a second about Cyberpunk?
We knew it was going to be put up for something because it got way too much money put into its advertising. It was like really, really hyped. And then the game came out, and then the rest is history.
Are you having a laugh panel? Are you having a laugh? Obviously, Cyberpunk is not winning this. I'm Tales of Arise. That one seems to have like the most hype attached to it.
Yeah, I think either Tales of Arise or Monster Hunter Rise probably wins it. I think, in terms of like actual quality, I think Shin Megami Tensei 5 is actually the best RPG on this list. But I don't think it's quite got the media attention that the others have. Scarlet Nexus is one that people aren't really talking about because it's kind of like, again, it's pretty similar to Devil May Cry and the Bayonetta games and whatnot in terms of like attack and slash gameplay. But unfortunately, I think because it was tied at the hip to the anime and the anime was fucking terrible, that the game stands alone on its own merits for sure. And I'm not trying to say that the anime being terrible means the game is terrible. I just don't think the game's quite as good or as, critically acclaimed as, like, Tales of Arise or Monster Hunter Rise or even Shin Megami Tensei 5, really. So, I think if you put a gun to my head and I had to choose, I think Monster Hunter Rise wins this award.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But my pick would go to Shin Megami Tensei 5 or Tales of Arise.
So, my pick is going to be Tales of Arise. What's your pick, Slade?
I think Monster Hunter Rise wins the award, but my pick is Tales of Arise.
All
As I
right,
said, it's the first Tales of game to get the large, AAA studio budget, and
yeah,
it definitely shows. It looks very
yeah.
pretty.
That's the one award I thought we would both be in agreement on. I'm a little surprised about that.
As I said, I think Monster Hunter Rise is going to walk away with something because I think it's the most popular game on the list, at least in terms of like people, enjoying it after the game's release.
Yeah.
Whereas Cyberpunk 2077 was like mad hyped and then just fell off a cliff.
We are in the potential timeline to have that actually win.
If that happens, then like
It better not.
Game Awards already have like little to no credibility. That would just sink their credibility like entirely, and I'd be like, we can't cover this anymore, Byron. I mean, they could. With all the money spent on advertising, they could.
We gotta cover the reveals. But yeah. So, yeah. Action adventure game. We have Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, so this is going to be an extremely tough category to vote because, one, I think you got 4 of the Game of the Year candidates here.
Yes, you do have 4 of them. Yeah, spoilers,
and
but
it's not even just that, but it's also like, do they do the thing like they did with Red Dead Redemption and God of War, where they gave Red Dead Redemption all of the other awards, but then they gave Game of the Year to God of the War? So kind of like this might be like what they consider the consolation prize award. Because like one of these games could win this best action adventure game, and then they give one of the other games on this list the Game of the Year award. It's dumb, but like it's something that they do or that they have done in the past.
So my prediction, I think Metroid Dread wins best action adventure game.
Really? So
yes.
I'm gonna disagree. I think Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart actually win this award, but this is one of those ones that this is honestly impossible to pick because like not just between Metroid Dread and Ratchet and Clank, but Psychonauts 2 and Resident Evil Village are all critically acclaimed and fantastic video games. I've also heard
really good things about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, hey, that's another thing. We don't want to write off Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy because the game's also really good from what I've seen and I've heard. But
yeah, it's just Square spent way too much time at their E3 fucking covering the game.
Yeah, so there wasn't a lot of hype going into it, but it's a good game, guys. It's a good game. But like. As I said, I don't want to just zone in on the Game of the Year candidates, but like I feel like there's a reason why those games are up for Game of the Year, and Guardians of the Galaxy is not. So I don't know, Byron. This is incredibly tough. I think this is probably the second hardest award to pick out of all of them, primarily because 4 of the 5 reasons why the hardest one to pick is on this list as well.
Yeah, like. This is certainly one of the harder ones, but like I read like what the category is like looking for, and I'm like, you know what? I think Dread fits what the category is about more than the other games, and that's not to take away from any of the other games. I just think Dread wins this one.
This is true to an extent. If like you were to read the category, be like, okay, well, this is what it does, but I feel like the language of the category isn't going to come into why they award one of these games.
I know, but I just think. Dread wins this.
Okay, so my prediction is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. If that didn't win, I would say it's Resi Village. But as I said, it's honestly impossible to choose. Like,
yeah, this is one of the tougher.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where like I know there's a 90% chance I'm wrong, but
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next award. Best Best Action Game, because that's a separate category from Action Adventure.
Yeah?
Yeah, you got Back 4 Blood, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, and Returnal.
Now, my heart says Returnal. My gut says Deathloop. I
Yeah.
don't know which yet to pick.
So I think Deathloop is going to win this. Deathloop was probably out of all the video games released this year, the one that was the most praised by critics, which are 90% of the people who matter when it comes to deciding these awards anyway.
Deathloop is also the most nominated game this year, I think, with 8 nominations.
Yeah, so
So,
now factoring that out, I think the gameplay loop, no pun intended there for Deathloop, was something that the critics really liked a lot versus these other games. Because Back for Blood, for all intents and purposes, is just a Left 4 Dead game in a modern day and age. Haven't even played or heard anything about Chivalry 2. I kind of feel uninformed about it. Far Cry 6, from what I hear, is really good, but it's just kind of like another title in the line of the series.
Yeah, and another like Ubisoft game.
And the other game that I think it could be, because I think this is a 2-horse race between Deathloop and Returnal. I think, Byron, you're pretty spot on.
Absolutely. It is a 2-horse race.
I just feel like in terms of like a roguelike versus, Deathloop, I feel like they're going to favor Deathloop. Roguelikes are kind of like those game series that, outside of Hades, don't really get the attention or popularity of like the mainstream media as much. It's just one of those genres that people don't gravitate towards as much.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with my gut and go Deathloop. I think that one wins.
Yeah. All right, Barnes. What's our next category?
Our next category is VR AR. We have Hitman 3, I Expect You to Die 2, Lone Echo 2, Resident Evil 4, and Sniper Elite VR. I think it's a 2-horse race between Hitman 3 and Resi 4.
I am 100% with you. In fact, I didn't even realize Resi 4 was a VR game that was released, which was like crazy this year. I'm going with Hitman 3 because it's the new title released on this list this year, and as good as I think Resident Evil 4 is, a lot of people during the GameCube era thought it was the best video game of all time. I just don't think they're going to award it to a now potentially 20-year-old title, even if it is made for virtual reality now.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I think Hitman 3 wins this award.
Yes. Non-related topic. Did anybody look at that logo for Hitman 3 and think it was an imposter from Among Us?
Slade, why? Slade, why?
I had to. I couldn't. I'm sorry.
God.
All right. Innovation and accessibility. Games for the category are Far Cry 6, Forza Horizon 5, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, The Veil, Shadow of the Crown.
Yes. So, I actually took a little bit of a deep dive into this category, actually.
Yeah.
And I will say, this may shock a lot of you. Out of all these games, Far Cry 6 has the most accessibility options. Because some of these games don't even have, like, subtitles, which is fucking wild. I'm going to say Far Cry 6. Because, like, you can change the color of, like, the UI text. You can change the color of the roads. Like, there's, like, motion settings. Like, there's so many accessibility options. It's actually crazy. I'm going Far Cry 6 for this
Byron, I'm going to trust your judgment because I actually hadn't heard anything about Far Cry 6 accessibility options. I've heard quite a bit about like Forza Horizon 5 and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Yeah, and those also have pretty good accessibility options. And I would ordinarily have given it to probably Ratchet and Clank because Sony does so well with accessibility, except I think Ubisoft went up to them this year.
Yeah, so I'm going to defer to your judgment here because I said it's not exactly something I'm as educated in as I'd like to be. So, yeah, guys, Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
Expect that.
This one is going to be a very interesting category. We have community support. So we have Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy XIV Online, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky.
Yeah, so this is a really tough award. This is probably one of the top, 3 to 5 toughest awards to pick here because community support, what does that mean? Well, honestly, transparency, responsiveness, inclusive social media activity, etc. But they also include game updates and patches. So I know Final Fantasy XIV Online had a pretty big update, I think, that came out earlier this year, which would make me kind of lean towards it. But I don't know. Last year, because I leaned heavily on Destiny 2, and I don't think Destiny 2 ended up winning that award. I don't think they've had that, super massive update since, the beginning of the year either. I think, to me, it's going to be a 3-horse race between Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Final Fantasy XIV Online. I don't know what you think.
This one, I think, is pretty easy. I think Final Fantasy XIV Online.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Yep. Yeah, and we'll come back to, I think, 4 of these games because they're in another category. But, Mobile Game of the Year, Slade.
Yeah, Mobile Game of the Year. You have Fantasian, Genshin Impact, League of Legends, Wild Rift, Marvel Future Revolution, and Pokemon Unite. So,
2 things. First, I think this is the very first time a Pokemon game, or at least in my memory, a Pokemon game is up for a game award, which is shocking that it's Pokemon Unite.
well, hold on. I'm pretty sure that Pokemon Go was up for some stuff that year, wasn't it?
Oh, best mobile game, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Not about Go. And second, originally, before they fixed it, the Game Awards website listed Genshin Impact as being made by Square Enix.
Yeah, which is pretty funny.
Instead of MiHoYo. And speaking of, I think Genshin wins this.
Yeah, it literally says in the text for the best game playable on a mobile device. I don't think anybody's debating right now Genshin's kind of top of the market. You're literally getting an anime Breath of the Wild clone playable on your phone. How do you argue with that?
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
But no, because even if Pokemon Go wasn't part of a previous mobile game winner award, you also got a new Pokemon Snap up for an award this year as well. So that's not entirely factual.
Not about that.
Yeah.
Right.
So
my brain's melting. Indie game of the year. We have 12 Minutes, Death's Door, Inscription, Kena Bridge of Spirits, and Loop Hero. So, from what I have heard, 12 Minutes is fucking awful. Except for the voice acting. That's the only praise that I have heard for 12 Minutes.
that's insane.
Yeah, I've heard it's bad.
So I think Byron and I are in agreement here that Kena is probably going to win this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 2-horse race, I think, between Kena and Loop Hero. That's another one I've heard a heap of praise on.
Right.
But I think Kena is gonna double sweep the indie awards this year, not only for best debut indie, but also the best indie game.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that take. So on to the next category, best ongoing game. You have Apex Legends, Final Fantasy XIV Online, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Call of Duty Warzone. Another tough category. So I'm going to go ahead and put my vote towards Final Fantasy XIV Online. I think, like I said, they've had some pretty massive expansions. I know Genshin Impact had the 2.0 expansion earlier this year that added a whole continent, but I don't think that's quite enough on its own to merit winning this award in the eyes of the, critics. What do you think, Byron?
Okay. I am going to go Final Fantasy XIV, and that is because it fucking blew up this year. It blew up this year. People were leaving WoW left and right. A big name in the WoW community, Asmongold, left WoW for Final Fantasy XIV, and that definitely helped spark the repopularity of Final Fantasy XIV. Got even more new people in. And I think purely just on that, I think Final Fantasy XIV Online wins best ongoing game this year.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. So I think Final Fantasy 14 Online definitely takes this one, but it's a close game. It's definitely a very hard category. All
So
right.
probably the category we are the least fucking informed on, and we apologize for that. It's Games for Impact. We have Before Your Eyes, Boyfriend Dungeon, Chicory, A Colorful Tale, Life is Strange, True Colors, and No Longer Home. Uh, I'm gonna take. This is the only cat one besides maybe Player's Choice, but that's also because we don't know much about the Player's Choice category yet. I'm gonna throw a dart at the dartboard, and I'm just gonna say Chicory, A Colorful Tale. I've heard a lot about that game. I think that one wins. Just
So I was gonna throw a dart at the board because I'm not obviously super informed in this category, but I know the most recognizable game on the list is Life is Strange: True Colors. So that was gonna be the dart I threw, but
okay.
I'm gonna have to play some of these games because yeah, I didn't even know half these games existed.
Yeah, no,
Honestly.
for next year, we will definitely. We promise we will try to be informed on the Games for Impact category, because that's like the one category we are always the least informed about.
Yeah, speaking of Life is Strange, let's go to the next category. Best Performance. We have Erica Mori as Alex Chen in Life is Strange: True Colors. Yeah, Giancarlo Espito as Anton Castillo in Far Cry 6. I probably butchered the fuck out of that. My apologies. Jason Kelly as Colt Vaughn in Deathloop. Maggie Robertson as Lady. I always butcher her last name, even though it's like super popular.
Yeah, Maggie Robertson as the 10-foot tall vampire lady that makes people horny.
Yeah, in Resi Village. And then Byron, what's this last one?
And Ozimora Akaga as Julian Blake in Deathloop. So I think this is a slam dunk award, but for a reason, I don't know if you're thinking this. I think Keanu Reeves maybe won this award last year.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the big celebrity name. I'm going to go Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo as the winner. Everybody on this award did well. I just think Giancarlo is a big Hollywood name. They want a big Hollywood name there. And so I think Giancarlo wins this award.
So I was going to say Giancarlo as well. Not because he's a Hollywood name, but because I've actually seen the performance in Far Cry 6. I've seen some of the lines and whatnot. And I thought, obviously he did, an extremely remarkably fantastic job.
Yeah, all five did remarkable jobs from what I've seen.
I thought Giancarlo stood out above the rest, even without, like, his Hollywood branding. But that's just me personally. But knowing that he's the big Hollywood voice actor on there, not just voice actor, but actor in general, I do think he does walk away with it, like you said.
Yep. But there is a timeline where Maggie Robertson wins because...
Yeah. All right.
Best audio direction. We have Deathloop, Forza Horizon 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal. So, I don't know who to go with. Slade, who do you think's winning this one?
I think, in terms of audio design, I think it might be Forza Horizon 5, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those categories that's also extremely tough for us to choose. Because I know last year we picked, like, Doom or something.
Yeah.
And we weren't even, like, remotely close.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think it's either Forza Horizon 5 or Ratchet and Clank. I don't know what you think.
I'm gonna go Forza. Because they with Forza they also get like the car sounds, like the realistic.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but again, it's not one of those things that's like I have no idea what in terms of like the criteria is.
Yeah.
What they would choose. All right. Best score in music. Yeah, we got a pretty, fascinating list here. We got The Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, and Nier Replicant, and God forbid I'm not reading that version off.
No, Slade. You got to say the full name.
Version 1.22474487139. You're welcome.
Fuck you, Square Enix. Why? The name of the title. Add all the digits of pi, why don't you?
All right. So,
God.
Byron, who wins this one?
I think The Artful Escape.
Is it just because it's artful in name? I haven't heard any of the music for anything other than Cyberpunk. So,
this is one, like, I know all but Artful Escape, and, like, I think most of them used licensed music, which it's not a bad thing to use. But besides maybe Nier Replicant, I think The Artful Escape wins this one.
I said, I'm not even going to cheat. I said the only game I've heard any sort of, like, original soundtracks from is from Cyberpunk 2077. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one.
Yeah. But wait, what happens, Slade, if Nier Replicant gets an update? Will they have to change the version?
Yeah, it's going to be Nier Replicant. I'm not even going to do it. I'm done.
All right. Art direction.
That is correct. We have The Artful Escape, Deathloop, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
This one's tough.
This one's very tough because I think this is a 3-horse race between Kena, Psychonauts, and The Artful Escape.
Yes, I agree with that. Well, Ratchet looks great too, but like all three of those games, Artful Escape, Kena, and Psychonauts, they look incredible.
Yeah. So if hyper-real... Okay, so let's talk about this. Are they What's more important to, the critics? Is it hyper-realism? Is it, kind of like the artsy flair that's like, that jumps out you like it does in Psychonauts? Or is it kind of like a standard, brush art style, kind of like the Artful Escape? Like, what do they value more? Because it really feels like that's what we're picking. In terms of, like, cutting-edge technology pushing the envelope, I think Kena is definitely the strongest title on this list.
Absolutely. And you know what? As much as my heart says Psychonauts 2, my gut says Kena.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those things where, like, is it, like, the art style they care about more, or is it, like, how far they push the envelope? Because I said, Kena is an extremely pretty game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes from Ember Labs. Like, look at the stuff they've done before they started entering video games. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, so I think Kena is going to be the one that walks away with it, but make no mistake, that is an extremely hard category to choose.
It absolutely is. All 5 games look. Maybe Deathloop is probably the lowest on this section of 5, but it's still a good-looking game.
Oh yeah. All right.
We got the big 3 coming up right here, Slade. We have Best Narrative.
Ooh.
Deathloop. It Takes Two. Life is Strange: True Colors. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Psychonauts 2. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I do not think It Takes Two wins Best Narrative.
No, and as somebody who's played the game, I feel like the narrative was really good up until the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know if 10 minutes of the entire game disqualifies it. I don't think it does, but...
No, but I think there is a better game, and I'm going to say Psychonauts 2 wins Best Narrative.
I don't know. I think this is one that either Life is Strange... Yeah, I think Life is Strange actually could probably walk away with this one, believe it or not.
Life is Strange? Okay. Interesting choice.
I don't know, though. This is really tough.
Yeah.
Because you also got, like, a literal Marvel comic right there.
That's true. I will say probably out of these 5, Deathloop is probably the weakest.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree there. I think Deathloop was really interesting in terms of like its gameplay, but like as far as like the story goes, it's really just assassinate somebody, get free here. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have game direction. The nominees are Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. This one for me is the easiest one to pick. It Takes Two does something so unique from any of the other 5 that I would be shocked if it doesn't win Best Game Direction. It's a co-op only multi-genre game. You're playing multiple genres at one point.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I'm voting It Takes Two for Best Game.
Well, how many roguelites are shooters like in Returnal? Because that's also pretty revolutionary as well.
That's true, but like...
And then, beat this horse to death, but Deathloop also has, a very unique gameplay loop that hasn't been done. This is not a, easy... It's obviously It Takes Two runaway race. But, I'm inclined to agree with Byron here. I do think It Takes Two probably walks away with Best Game Direction. I think it's not, cut and dry, but I do think it does have the most innovative game design out of all the games on this list.
The only other game you will see even remotely like It Takes Two is Hazelight's other game, A Way Out.
Yeah.
All right, Slade, tell us all about the big one.
All right, guys, the big one, and arguably the one that everyone spends the most time arguing over, talking about, debating, etc. We have the game of the year. So, the games for this category are Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. And
so let's talk just the 6 games that were chosen. Deathloop is, I'm not gonna say the Last of Us 2 of this year's, but it's basically kind of like that. It's that game. It's the mainstream game that is in the most categories of any other game this year.
Well, yeah, it's not just that. It's also the one that critics kind of fell over themselves praising this year compared to every other game on this list. Well, this is the one where all the critics kind of came together like, yes, we all universally adore/love this game. Yeah. So, in a sense, I'm not calling it The Last of Us Part 2 in that regard, because unlike that game, this game's actually really good.
Well, the only reason I'm calling it like that is because it's the only other comparison I could think of at the moment. Because it's nominated for the most awards.
Yeah, because as I said, it's a pretty unfair comparison for me. Because as I said, this game's actually really good, so it deserves a lot of praise that it gets.
Yeah, we have It Takes Two, the technically indie darling of this year.
Yeah, even though I kind of look at more of it as an EA title, and Jose Fares at this point is no newcomer to the industry. He's been around for a hot minute. We all love him. He's the fuck the Oscars guy.
Yeah, fuck the Oscars.
It's the whole reason why we actually got inspired to actually start talking about the Game Awards every year, like real talk. But
we got Metroid Dread, which in literally any other year for the past decade, besides maybe 2019, wouldn't be Nintendo's representation here at the Game Awards, but it is.
And and I think if I'm not mistaken, it's the first Metroid game to be put on this level of critical acclaim since Super Metroid, if I'm not mistaken.
It's been a while. So
yeah, it's been a long while. So
we have Psychonauts 2. You could technically call it the comeback kid. Psychonauts the series was dead for a while, and then Psychonauts 2 got kickstarted, and it's an incredible game that I still need to fucking play at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Goddamn. You could call Psychonauts 2 the comeback kid, in a way. We got Ratchet and Clank, the Sony representation. Sony was pretty light this year on releases, but as we talked about earlier and anticipated, they're fucking loaded next year.
Oh yeah. Hey, gaming next year, guys. Do you think this year's gonna be hard for us to pick, which it will be? Yeah, you ain't seen shit yet. Next year's
Yeah.
gonna be wild.
Yeah, and then I think the biggest shocker, besides Metroid Dread and maybe It Takes Two, is Resi Village. I was shocked that was nominated. I did not think it would be nominated this
I
year.
figured it would be. I'm actually surprised it wasn't nominated in more categories. Like, actually.
Yeah, well, there aren't really many like horror game categories, and I don't think there was a VR version of Village, or if they are, they're saving it for like a later year.
You know, that's actually interesting now that you brought it up. There isn't a horror game category, and I feel like there are plenty of horror games that came out this year.
Yeah.
Or kind of at least Halloween themed kind of like games in general.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I honestly thought like, and the two games that people thought got snubbed were Forza Horizon 5 and Returnal, and I honestly thought Returnal would get nominated over Resident Evil Village.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about a lot of the games individually, I think what makes this year so fascinating is there isn't any one title you could point at and be like, this is gonna run away with it, because
Yeah, there's no runaway this year, and I think next year there won't be any runaway, but that's because the competition.
that's a completely different reason than what we
Yeah.
usually have. So when I look at the lineup this year, because like usually you can point to, well, the critics really love this game, so this obviously gonna win. But I don't think that's that cut and dry this year, because I've said that a lot today. Because even though Deathloop was the most critically praised game on this list, you're talking about one of the most revolutionary cooperative games of all time, and It Takes Two.
Yes.
You got probably the best Metroidvania released since Ori Will of the Wisp, and also it's, you know, a very strong Metroid game which we haven't seen since the Metroid Prime games, I think, for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
like Byron said, you've probably got the comeback hit in terms of like Psychonauts 2. It's a Kickstarter project for a game that was absolutely beloved by many, and then the series kind of just died off.
A cult classic that got revived because of Steam. Thanks, Steam.
Yeah, and this is going to be my hot take. I think you got probably the weakest title on this list overall, which is insane considering how much it pushes like the PS5 and how like pretty it looks and whatnot. But overall, I don't think the gameplay does anything like super duper like unique or anything we hadn't already seen from the Ratchet and Clank games. Maybe I'm crazy, but Rift Apart looks gorgeous, and I think it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, and it is like the best. If it's not Astro's Playroom, Ratchet and Clank is probably so far the best next generation PS5 showcase title.
Yes. And
And
then
then we
wrapping
have
the list up, you have Resident Evil Village. So
Yeah. This is fucking tough.
all right, so I'm gonna do what I did last year. I'm gonna go with what I think is the actual best game of the year, and then I'm gonna say the game that I think they pick. Because last year, as we said, we both thought that Sekiro, I think, would have been or should have been game of the year. It was probably the best game, but we both knew, like in our guts, that The Last of Us Part 2 was 100% winning. This year, yeah. I think this year it's really interesting. So I think in terms of like the actual best video game overall of the year, I'm going to say it's probably It Takes Two. Because the reason why I think It Takes Two is because I think in terms of like couch co-op and whatnot, it's done a lot of things that have never been done before.
Yes.
On like a super high level, but it also has a very strong narrative.
Yeah.
And it's also got a lot of like multiplayer like mini games they can play throughout the playthrough that aren't even tied to the story at all. So it gives it like an almost infinite replayability value.
Yeah.
Like overall, It Takes Two is probably, at least in my opinion, the best game released this year, and that's not said lightly. All these games are fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. All of these games are great, and I am in agreement with Slade. I will, and spoilers, I guess, for our year-end video. It Takes Two is my game of the year this year.
Yes. So that being said, I feel like Deathloop is winning game of the year by a very narrow margin. And I said a lot of that has to do with how the critics kind of heaped praise on it. And, yeah, I think I'm going to have to say Deathloop wins Game of the Year this year. I don't know whether you agree or not.
You know what? I'm going with my heart. I'm going It Takes Two.
Hell yeah.
I'm going with my heart. My gut says Deathloop, but I'm going with my heart on this one. It Takes Two.
But to say, it could go either way. And honestly, I feel like we're sleeping on Resident Evil Village, considering how, like, out of all these titles, I think it was probably the strongest spring title. Considering It Takes Two was, like, what, an early winter title, right?
I think it was. If it wasn't, like, late winter, it was very early spring.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, any of these winning would be fine. No, I don't think anyone. Well, okay, yeah, I shouldn't say no one's gonna get mad on the internet because
everybody's gonna get mad. Like literally, one of these guys gonna get picked, and everyone's gonna be fucking salty about it. It's gonna be great.
We're not gonna be too salty because it's like, these are cool, obviously. But yeah, I think It Takes Two wins this one. I'm going with my heart on this one. I'm going with my heart.
All right, so that is the entirety of our Game of the Year predictions.
Fans the esports awards because we don't really
care. Yeah, we don't really care about that. Like, I apologize for anybody who wanted to know whether or not TSM was the best esports team of the year. Spoilers or not, they're not even close.
Or like Fortnite wins like best esports game again or something. But
yeah,
look forward to our episode on the Game Awards in about 3 weeks time or so, because the Game Awards will be happening on December 9th. All the reveals, all the winners, we're going to talk about them on that episode. But yeah, for Who the Hell Asked, this is Byron.
And this has been Slade.
And we hope you all have a good day or night. Bye-bye.